I made this comment on the radio that one of the things that has kept me awake a lot of nights the last 3 years is when they have that saying after an event here that we couged it. And I always kept saying, boy, wouldn't it be great to change that around to where it meant a positive things, where Cougars rely that couged it means you pulled it out rather than being such a negative. So maybe this is the start of something for us because I thought we were really good, really poised down the stretch of the game. You saw a fabulous player in Brunridge. He had 26 the last time we played him down in Santa Clara, and he beat us. He had 25 in this game. You know, the 7 threes by him, 4 of them in a row. Ike guarded him, Keith guarded him, Charles guarded him, Malachi guarded him, and V guarded him. And it seemed like he never got tired but wore us out, which is a credit to him and his stamina and everything else. So they played well in the game, Santa Clara, but I thought the 16-4 run to close out the game was triggered by our defense, which continues to get better and better. Started the game well and ended the game well with our defense. And the good defense also gave us a chance in that last 4 minutes to run and get out in transition. Charles's 3 was out of transition. Josh's foul line jumper was out of transition. Charles's drive to the hole was trying. We were able to get more in a rhythm offensively, and at the same time, that small lineup we put into the game was able to switch and kind of lock them up a little bit defensively.
You mentioned the cooped it thing. Is that something you use as a point of motivation with the team? Is the conversation you had? Talking about that?
Well, it's not. We've talked about it in the past with them. That to me, it's such a negative thing when a cougar is such a powerful animal. Why is it used in a negative when you can use it in a positive? Because we're going to be in a lot of games like that where we're going to have to pull games out, late games, tight games, and things of that nature. And it sure would be nice to change. That's a tall order, I understand, since it's been around for so many years in Coug Nation, but it'd be a great way to put your stamp on a school and on a program that if that can all of a sudden turn into a positive thing for us.
What was the mindset like with 6 minutes left when you were down by 11?
2 things. We were poised because this team, they understand what they need to do. We were poised in the sense that it wasn't about getting rattled, but them to get right. And yet we were looking to see the adjustments that needed to be made. And the adjustments were we had to get Connor off the floor because I thought, again, the game was on defense. He had a hard time down there in helping out. And then we went with Robert Franks. And then we had to go smaller, again, to keep up with those guards at the other end. And their 4-man, 43, was skilled enough to put it on the floor. So Keith Langston was the big adjustment in the game where you saw the stops starting to come and being able to get the ball down the shot clock. They probably took the air out of the ball a little bit too soon, but it allowed us to get out and run. So it was more about what adjustments you needed to make to take control of the game or climb back into the game. Once it started coming, then the defense just picked up, the energy just picked up, the confidence picked up, and you felt like you were going to win the game.
Brunridge had his floor. You guys locked him up, and then really their whole team up the last 8 minutes. I don't think they had a field goal that changed in the final half of the game.
The intensity was tremendous on defense the final 8 minutes of the game. The final 4 minutes of the game was small ball and putting Keith in at the 4 and taking Robert off the floor, taking Connor off the floor. We were able to really defend them a lot better and switch 1 through 4 on the floor. And late in the game, we even switched 1 through 5 a couple times. And I just thought, again, we rehearse and we've quizzed them and we've talked about and we hit the scenario tonight. What do you do in the last seconds of a game where you got a 3-point lead? When do you foul? Put them on the free throw line. They did everything right, but a good free throw shooting team with one of the best free throw shooters or the best in the conference not making his free throws in Charles. But they got the right fouls. They listened. They allowed us to coach them, and that was huge development for this team, I thought, huge growth.
What does it say about Charles to come back and then make the play on the other side of the ball to sell the game?
Well, with Charles, we continue to teach. And, he had a stretch in the game where we could have went up, we could have cut the lead to 3 when he made the left-handed bounce pass with Malachi open on the left wing. And if he knocks down a 3, it's a 3-point game. Instead, they come down, they hit a 3, and it ends up being like a 6-point swing in the game. And boom, just like that, they're up 11. And that was the teaching moment. The other part of it was him coming back and closing out the game with some outstanding defense down there and getting some tough rebounds, hitting a tough basket on the drive, and then making a tough play on the block all of those things were excellent on his part. So hopefully it's just about growth with this team.
Going back to changing what the definition of coup means, do you think this team that you have now has the ability to do that?
To do that is such a tall order of toughness, both mentally and physically. I think with this team, we're going to have a lot of games where the games are going to come down to the last 3 minutes, and you're going to be right there to either close it out or lose it. And certainly if we can get some momentum in those games and closing them out, yeah, I'll jump on that bandwagon and make up the new banner and everything else. It might be sitting up behind me if we can do that. But we have to get to those spots. We're going to have to do something right to put ourselves in those positions. You have to do something even more right to close out the game, and then you can be in a position to do something like that. But, to me, again, when I hear that, Cougars, that's a powerful name to me. That's not an animal that runs and hides in a hole. That's an animal that gobbles you up. And in a game like tonight, we gobbled the lead up and gobbled up the team to close out the game. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Coach, with just a game left before Pac-12 play, do you feel like the team's starting to look like they're ready?
Everything we do in practice, from preparation for the Kansas State game and playing a Pac-12 caliber team on the road in front of 9,000 people with the travel we had to go through to get there, we've talked about Pac-12. That's life on the road, and we don't have the extensive travel in the Pac-12 like we had to get back to Kansas City. But at the same time, you are going to be in uncomfortable environments and handle yourself well. And I thought we were very poised to start the game back there. To come back on another tough trip coming back and going into finals, we've used this week even about this is about Pac-12 play. We have to play well in this game, play through the game, play another game, but it's all about getting better, getting V back in the flow of things, getting Keith more confidence now, getting Jeff Pollard back in about another week. And everything we're doing, coaching, teaching, talking, is prepping for Pac-12 play. So even this game on Wednesday really is about opening up the Pac-12 the right way. We want to play well. We want to close out the preseason well. We know we let some games get away. We want to be able to close out on a positive note.
About 9 minutes, what you expected for Beyonce in this game?
It was. He probably wanted to play more. I just wanted to give him a couple minutes to get a feel for it. If you remember, there was a loose ball in front of our bench where Josh went down to the floor right on the elbow, and he didn't dive into the pack to get it. Well, two things to that. That's a very smart kid coming out of concussion. Don't jump down there and get hit again. But the other part is he's not there yet. But to get him just some minutes to get him up and down, it's about what I wanted to do with him. Thank you guys for coming out. Braving the weather.